Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Wednesday, December the 4th. Ian Cameron, solo mission today. Alex away at an appointment. He'll be back tomorrow with us on the Thursday show, but no problem doing it a solo job today. Just a 4-game slate here on this Wednesday edition of the show. 4 games on tap here for this Wednesday. But first, we'll look back, obviously, on a very busy Tuesday night in the NHL. Another profitable night, another one of these big nights, and it turned into a winning night, largely because of a few big dogs that decided to bark for me, and I was very happy to see it play out that way. We'll begin with, obviously, the San Jose-Washington game, a spot that we kind of figured might be one of those spots for Washington where they could get caught. You know, they're playing very good hockey, not a lot of sense of urgency right now with them finding ways to win games lately, even without the grade 8, Alex Ovechkin. You have a San Jose team rolling into town, starting a road trip, playing with a little bit of confidence, having won 3 of the last 4 games, and it played out, you know, kind of like what we saw in last night's game. Not the best effort from Washington. San Jose found a way to win. They got the benefit of a 4-minute double minor, a 4-minute power play on a double minor late in the third period, which carried over into overtime, and the Sharks made good on that power play in overtime to get the 2-1 victory over the Washington Capitals last night. So a big plus 250 dog comes through for me there with the San Jose Sharks. Unfortunately, our great run with the Washington first period over did fall short last night. Still, we're looking at 14-2 with that run, and it's probably going to take a couple more games of it losing for me to jump off that trend and jump off that angle, considering, like I said, it is still 14-2 in the last 16 games. For that Washington Capitals first period over trend. So a great win there for San Jose. Mackenzie Blackwood, you know, also delivered a very solid performance again in net. Was very reminiscent of the 1-0 shutout win he had on the road earlier this year against New Jersey, his former team. And he did play very well last night as well in that win. Boston goes to lots of draws cashing in last night. That game would have cashed the draw. I was not on that draw. Alex and I were both on this draw, Detroit and Boston, 3-2 Bruins. Unfortunately, I also had Detroit money line, Detroit team total over. That falls short, but the Bruins get a 3-2 win last night over the Red Wings. You know, you look at that game, definitely some positives for the Bruins. You know, they outplayed Detroit, especially in the third period, deserved the win. I thought Husso was okay. I thought he was solid for sure. Korpisalo continues to play pretty solid for the Bruins. I mean, to the point where, you know, he continues to make the case that he should be getting, you know, a lot of starts, you know, and with Swayman still, you know, kind of up and down. But solid stuff from the Boston Bruins in that 3-2 overtime win last night against the Detroit Red Wings. Another game that goes to overtime last night, the Florida Panthers and the Pittsburgh Penguins, as the Florida Panthers fall short 5-4 in overtime to the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. 4th straight win for the Penguins, so we do give them some bit of credit for that. What I do not give them credit for is that win last night too much. Let's be honest. I mean, 41-16 were the shots. It seemed like every opportunity Pittsburgh had went in the net. Jari was very good, you know, even with the 4 goals he gave up when you're facing over 40 shots. You know, it was a territorial dominance by Florida, but at the end of the day, Pittsburgh ends up getting the 5-4 win in overtime there over the Panthers. And again, that game would have cashed the draw if you were on it. Shout out too as well. First NHL goal last night for Owen Pickering of the Pittsburgh Penguins there in that game. So Penguins, a little momentum, but they were fortunate as shit to win that game. They shouldn't have. But nevertheless, they find a way. Outplayed badly, and they still emerge with the 5-4 victory. And I just made the right decision in that game with the Florida team total over. And I love it when I see shit like that, where the team loses and we still cash the team total over. And that's exactly what we saw last night in that Florida-Pittsburgh game. So I picked the right pathway. I didn't feel great about them in regulation or anything like that, because I did feel it could be a close game. It was. And Knight had kind of a step back for Spencer Knight in net after he was playing well a couple of starts there. So just made the right call there, that picking the right way to bet Florida in that game, which was the team total over 3.5 last night, which does cash in. All right, what else did we see last night? How about the Seattle Kraken? How about that? Back-to-back losses to the lowly San Jose Sharks, and then you roll into Carolina, where the Hurricanes have been just phenomenal all season, and you beat the Carolina Hurricanes. As the great John Forsland would say, that's hockey, baby. Of course, John Forsland back in Carolina last night, calling the game on Seattle Kraken television, of course. It's almost like Seattle gets up to play in Carolina because of that. I'm sure the players know John Forsland, was the TV voice of the Hurricanes in Carolina for a very, very long time. And because this is not the first time they've played Carolina very tough in this building here in Raleigh. So it was a much needed win for Seattle. And this is what frustrates you about Seattle. You see a game like that and you see what this team is capable of, but you don't see this kind of shit from them consistently. I mean, they were terrific. They held Carolina to 5 shots on goal in the first period, 2 shots on goal in the second period. I mean, it was a clinic by this Seattle team. Clearly didn't take it very lightly about how bad they were in the 2 losses back-to-back to the San Jose Sharks. But why can't they play like this more consistently? Why can't we see efforts like this more often from the Seattle Kraken? And last night they get a nice 4-2 win. Again, now they get a little fortune. There were not 1 but 2 Carolina goals disallowed in the third period to be able to hang on for that win. But like I said, you can't argue with the result. Seattle was the right side. Seattle 28-19 in shots, completely dominant over Carolina for the first 2 periods of that game. So credit to them. But let's see it the next game. We can't win a game like that and shit the bed the next game. If you're Seattle, you got to start gaining some momentum. It's the only way you're going to have a hope in hell of making the playoffs, is if you try to string some wins together. And we just haven't seen a lot of that from them. So you got to build off this. You can't just win this game and fuck off the next game. That's not going to work. You got to bring it again and get another win on the board. It's that simple if you're Seattle. Decord was solid in net and a nice 4-2 win. We get 1 win and 1 push on the system play. The first period over cashed, the full game over landed on 6 with a push there. So, but we'll take it with the system play there for Seattle, Carolina as well. I also had the Carolina team total over. That fell short in that one. I don't know what more we can say about the Buffalo Sabres at this point that hasn't already been said. You would think, even against the Colorado Avalanche, we know can be capable offensively and explosive, that a 4-0 lead after the first period, chasing Alexander Georgiev from the net, would be enough. But sure enough, it wasn't. And that is a horrific loss. That is a despicable loss. That's an unacceptable loss. I don't care if you're playing the Colorado Avalanche or if you're playing the Rochester Americans in the American Hockey League, your farm team. You can't lose that hockey game last night. It was absolutely pathetic from the Buffalo Sabres, in my opinion. I'm glad they were angry after the fact, but don't let it happen. And they did. And unfortunately, it was a horrific night for the Sabres, a night that looked like it was going to for sure be theirs after that outstanding first period where they went up 4-0. Chased Alexander Georgiev from the net. But then that late goal they gave up to McKinnon, which made it 4-1. When they gave up that late goal in the second period, I'm like, well, you know what? They're still up 4-1. They should still win this game. But I said at the moment when I saw that McKinnon goal, don't be shocked if this gets hairy in the third period. Don't be shocked if this gets, a little bit interesting here, with knowing what Buffalo is, the problems they've had, the struggles they've had over the years. But sure enough, the worst case scenario. Kiviranta makes it 4-2, not even 2 minutes into the third. And then right there and then you knew it was game on. And the only thing I'm mad about is I didn't bet Colorado at that moment, because I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. And I, like a dope, just sat there frozen watching that game and everything else, all the other games, plus college basketball, plus we're trying to keep our eyes on everything on a nightly basis. And I just didn't get there I didn't get to the live bet enough. I didn't I didn't move. I should have, because you could sense it coming. And then it was 4-3, 4-4. McKinnon ties it, and then it doesn't even get to overtime. Lehkonen gets the game winner with about 4.5 minutes left in that game, and 5-4 win, comeback fashion for Colorado. Let's give some credit to Scott Wedgwood as well. Wedgewall. He was a Wedgewall last night for the Colorado Avalanche. Once Georgiev got chased, 22 shots faced, 22 saves, pitched a shutout in relief the rest of the way, gave Colorado a chance to get back into that game and eventually win the game. So credit to Wedge. And if you're Jared Bednar, you got to be a complete moron not to go back to Wedgwood and not to start giving him some runway here as the goaltender for the Colorado Avalanche. So why not? You know, he can't be Scott Wedgwood's had his ups and downs in his career. I'm not saying he's going to have his rough games too. We've seen it over the years, but there's no way right now you can say that he is all that much worse. And I'd even say he's probably a little bit better right now than what the other stiffs you've got, whether it's Georgiev, whether it's Onninen, whether it's Kaapo Kakkonen. Why would you not run with Wedgwood, especially with the way he played in relief last night against Buffalo and given this team a chance to come back and win? So if I'm Bednar, it's Wedgwood for the foreseeable future. Unless it's a back-to-back and I got to put Georgiev in one of the games, I absolutely got to run with Wedgwood a little bit here, see what he can give me, because what he gave me last night was really solid and gave my team a chance to come back and win that hockey game. Another draw, which Alex and I were both on, the Islanders. We've been a little snake bit with our timing with these draws with the Islanders lately. When we've bet them, they haven't gone to OT. When we haven't bet the draw, they have gone to overtime. When we finally landed on the draw last night, Islanders and Canadians, and we cash it. And I also cashed with Montreal, took them as a home dog. They get a 2-1 win over the Islanders in overtime last night. And what a moment for Patrick Laine, his first game with the Canadians, his first goal with the Canadians, the first goal of the game on the power play. And that building, the roof was going to explode, it sounded like, when he scored that goal in the second period last night. So a hell of a moment. Really happy for him because he's battled through a lot. This was not on the agenda of things that was supposed to happen for Patrick Laine when he signed the deal with Montreal, that he was going to not be available for almost 2 months of the season. But to see him get that first goal with Montreal, and then the reaction from the crowd, it was like a standing ovation, just as loud as can be. Really cool moment there, and Montreal gets the 2-1 win over the New York Islanders in overtime last night, and still can't trust the Islanders, as we mentioned on the show. The Vancouver Canucks, road warriors, but they fall to Minnesota 3-2 in overtime last night. Had a 2-1 lead going into the third. Middleton ties it, and then Kaprizov with the overtime winner to still wrap up overall 4-1-1 on the road trip for the Vancouver Canucks, which is still pretty solid. But the first loss on the road for Kevin Lankinen as the starting goaltender, as the Wild get the 3-2 win last night. Still a very good road trip overall for the Vancouver Canucks. Now they go back home and they take on, I believe, Columbus in their first game back home after that road trip. We'll see how that plays out when they go back to Vancouver. I love this team right now. I really, really do. The St. Louis Blues, man, 4-1 against the Winnipeg Jets. We were on St. Louis. Me and Alex took them. I got plus 198. What a price that was with the St. Louis Blues, who improved to 3-1 now under new head coach Jim Montgomery. A great job by the St. Louis Blues last night. I thought they were absolutely spectacular for the full 60 minutes. They were great defensively. They didn't give the Jets a lot. They suffocated them when there were opportunities. Joel Hofer was there to make the save. They were opportunistic on offense. A couple of goals for Jordan Kyrou. And, of course, one of our two bargain bin specials last night. This guy's red hot. That's why we took him, plus 500. Get that crap out of here. That's a ridiculous price it was. And it hits for us on Dylan Holloway. Holloway, celebrate. Yes, we did celebrate with Dylan Holloway last night, getting that. And it was a beautiful goal, too. If you look, he actually was in alone, got stopped by Hellebuck. Somehow, instead of doing a skate by into the corner, which some players do, he actually kind of stopped his momentum, and then chipped the puck on the rebound off Hellebuck right in under the roof job under the crossbar. It was a phenomenal goal by Dylan Holloway there. And I'll tell you what, the Blues are building some momentum at this point in time. There's no question about it. 4-1. They have played a really good connected brand of hockey at both ends of the ice. They've been a little bit more offensive as well as far as generating more. So the early returns have been very good for the St. Louis Blues here following the hiring of Jim Montgomery. The two late games, I mean, Calgary gets the win. You can't make sense of Calgary right now. I guess last night, because of the emotion of playing for Johnny Gaudreau at home at the Saddle Dome, where that man played so many games in his NHL career, there was certainly an emotional, galvanized effort from Calgary. But they continue to be great at home, not so good on the road. And just this Calgary team that was a mess on the road, they come back home and look what they do. They pitch a shutout last night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. But that's not the important thing. The important thing was just the absolute outstanding job we saw from, the absolutely outstanding job we saw done by the Flames organization as far as the ceremony before the game, having the entire Gaudreau family there, bringing Guy Gaudreau in particular, Johnny's dad, onto the ice, into the dressing room after the game when they won. There was a clip of Ryan Leslie, the Flames TV reporter, doing an interview with two of the longer tenured Flames players, the captain, Michael Backlund, Rasmus Andersson, the defenseman, who played a lot of games in Calgary with Johnny Gaudreau. They did an interview with Johnny's father with them, Rasmus Andersson, and Michael Backlund after. It was just absolutely tremendous. It was emotional. It was everything that's great about hockey. It's why you love the hockey community the way it is. And when they have these kind of moments, it's why I think it's a better community, quite honestly, than the football community, than the baseball community, than the basketball community. And I don't think it's even close. I really don't think it's even close. So that's why, for moments like that. Now, is the hockey community perfect? Do we have our bad seeds? Do we have our bad apples, our rotten apples every now and then? Do we have bad moments, bad incidents? Of course, it's going to happen. But I'm just talking as overall and in general. The hockey community, whether it's players, coaches, family, friends of players and coaches, you name it. I don't think there's a better community out there in professional sports than the hockey community. That's simple as that. And I think last night was kind of proof of that, with the way that whole tribute to Johnny went down last night in the with the Columbus and Calgary game. So it was really cool to see that. And a big win for the Flames, who continue to play well in their home building, again, with that 3-0 win. So it was a profitable night for me. It was a good night overall, and the Dogs were a big part of it, getting those big plus money hits. Without those, it probably wasn't going to be a winning night, but because of that, it was. But this could have been a spectacular night if not for this Edmonton-Vegas game. I mean, I did not have 1-0 Vegas on my bingo card. All the talk, and of course, we really liked the first period over there. That was the only period with a goal in the game. But just, it was one of those, you could tell right away, Vegas did want to start strong, but they only wanted to start strong defensively. They weren't pressing the attack. The only goal that was scored in the game was that, kind of a turnover that they kind of went in an odd man rush, and the puck squeaked through Skinner. And other than that, it was just one of those games where it was, for an Edmonton-Vegas game, it was not that exciting, quite honestly. It was absolutely horrible to watch. And unfortunately, look, I want to start fast, and they started fast defense. I thought they played great defensively, but they really didn't press and then once they got that 1-0 lead, I think they got scared because they gave up 6 to Utah. That we've really got to just shut it down and just be Devils 1990s. And if we get the first goal, just shut it down. And that's exactly what they did. And they just played defense in the third period. I mean, they didn't even attack. They had 2 fucking shots, for Christ's sake, in the third period. Are you kidding? At home ice, I know you're up 1-0, but can you try to at least get a little forecheck going in the offensive zone? Am I asking for too much? 16-2 in the third period, of that game for Edmonton. And they're very fortunate that once again, Adin Hill was great, 28 saves. That's one of the best bits of news for Vegas in the last few games. Adin Hill's looking like 2023 Stanley Cup champion version of Adin Hill once again. Because this, to me, the last few games is some of the best hockey that he's played in quite some time in net. Because last year was not a great year for him. He did not play to the level we saw in Stanley Cup run the year before. But the last few games, this includes the Colorado game that was on TNT last week, did play very well. You're definitely seeing him step up his game. He was very strong, especially in that third period, to allow Vegas to get the 1-0 shutout win over the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton will be a system play candidate, obviously, in their next game when they return home to face. And it's funny, we've got another one of these scenarios, guys, where Thursday night, tomorrow, we've got Columbus versus Edmonton. And it's system play, but it's both teams off a shutout loss. And that is now the third time this season that will have happened, with both teams coming into the game off a shutout loss in the same game, Columbus versus Edmonton tomorrow night. So I don't want to say hammer time, MC Hammer, stop, hammer time on that first period full game over tomorrow night, because nothing's a lock in this business. But it's a pretty strong look for sure tomorrow night when you're looking at Columbus and Edmonton, both off shutout losses, facing off tomorrow night against one another. All right, that was last night. Let's see what we can find tonight. It's a meandering card, if you ask me, but we'll see what we can do with it. We'll start with Nashville and Toronto. We've got the Leafs minus 140, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. You obviously see this Toronto team that continues to play well as a team. You talk about a team playing connected, playing good defensively, getting excellent goaltending. That's what we're seeing from Toronto. 6-1 in their last 7 games. Since getting Austin Matthews back, there was some talk that starting with the Tampa game, they played so great with Austin Matthews. Does he upset the apple cart? Well, 2-0 with him back. So let's be honest. Yeah, the record's been great without Austin Matthews, but you still want him on the ice. You still want him on your team. There's no question about that. So 2-0 since Austin Matthews has been back. We'll see how they fare here tonight against this Nashville team that's just they just can't get right. They've been close, and they have gone to over, which is kind of a prelude to what I like in this game. They've gone to overtime 3 straight times against the Flyers, the Lightning, and the Wild, but 3-2 losses in all 3 games in overtime. And yeah, they get a point in the last 3 games, Nashville, but they need more than that right now. You're 7-18. You've dug yourself more than enough of a hole right now as far as where you sit, as far as the wild card race is concerned. I mean, 20 points. You're only 2 points ahead of Chicago right now for the basement in the Western Conference. You need to start getting 2 points. You need to start winning some damn hockey games if you're Nashville, or else you're just gonna dig yourself too much of a mountain to climb as far as to try to get back into the playoff picture right now. You look at head-to-head series history. Toronto has taken 3 of the last 4 meetings. They have also won 3 straight here at Scotiabank when hosting Nashville. 3-0, 2-1, 4-0 victories over Nashville. We'll see how they fare here tonight in this game. I mean, it's Toronto or pass for me personally. I'm out on Nashville until I see them put a W on the board. Really, I mean, it's that simple. It's I don't want to hear shoulda, woulda, couldas, and we were close, and we lost in overtime, and all this stuff. You've got to find a way to win a hockey game before I'm ready to back you right now. And I like what I see from Toronto night in and night out. And we're not seeing these typical Toronto lose these games against lesser teams from the Western Conference like we saw last year, 2 years ago. We saw it Monday night against Chicago. That was a game they would lose last year. That was a game they would lose 2 years ago. And they're not losing those kind of games right now. They're not having those spots where they don't show up. So, they're the better team right now. To be honest with you, I'm not on Toronto either, but now that it's down to minus 140, that kind of looks cheap for the way Nashville is just in a bad way right now, and the way the Leafs just keep on chugging along. They have bought into the system. They're playing excellent defense. Their penalty kill's outstanding. Their goaltending's been awesome, and lately it hasn't even mattered who's in net. It's whether it's Joe Woll, who's expected to be in net tonight, or Anthony Stolarz. These 2 guys have both delivered in between the pipes for the Leafs. So is Toronto or pass? I'm going to look for Toronto live in this game. Maybe Nashville does get the first goal. They're a desperate team. Maybe they jump out with the lead early. Maybe I'll bet Toronto in game. We'll get a plus price at that point. I like the draw. The only pregame bet I have in this game is the draw here with the Predators and the Leafs. I could see this game going to overtime. It's 3 straight draws have cashed for the Nashville Predators. you look at Toronto. They went to overtime back-to-back against Edmonton and Washington, middle of November. 5 straight for them have not gone to overtime, I should say. But you look at the Utah game at home, 3-2. I see this being still a pretty tight game, pretty close game. I'll take a shot with the draw, especially with the way the Nashville Predators are finding ways to get to overtime. As far as props for this game, yeah, O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ryan O'Reilly against the Leafs, I think worth a look. Absolutely, given the scenario, his half season there, going against his former team. I don't mind a look there. Roman Josi, actually, believe it or not, because this Predators team has had such a difficult time scoring, Roman Josi's actually been one of their better goal scorers from the back end lately. 5 goals in the last 5 games for the veteran defenseman here for this Predators team. So I don't mind looking toward that as well for a goal prop tonight in this game. You look on the Leafs side of the equation. Another thing, too, about why the Leafs have been able to win with all these injuries, too, is with McMahon and Domi and Pacioretty still out, although he's coming back. By the way, Jake McCabe is still out. There was hope he'd be back for this game, but he is not. So he'll miss one more game at least for the Leafs tonight. But Nyes, Matthews, and Nylander, Holmberg, Tavares, and Marner, Robertson, Minton, and Lorentz. Keep an eye on that line. Minton's the guy I really think is worth a look right now. He scored a nice goal against Chicago the other night. They're raving about his play away from the puck. Great two-way player for just such a young guy. Like, this guy's not even 20 yet. He's already such a good two-way player, responsible defensively, winning face-offs, doing all those little things. So definitely I'm looking at Fraser Minton here in a plus 500 to plus 575 range to score a goal tonight. That definitely might be something I'm interested in here. Very good, interesting, but from Landon in the chat saying Connor Dewar scored the first goal in the last 2 versus the Predators. Well, 45-1. Hey, I don't mind that. Hey, maybe there's something about playing Nashville that's worth a look. It's very simple. Why don't I take unders? Well, I don't like betting them, and secondly, I'm not very good at them historically in all sports. Usually, the way it works is that if I ever bet an under or recommend an under, you bet the over. That's been the running joke here for the last 10 years. And it's not just NHL. This is every sport where it seems like when I like an under, it goes over. So I'm not good with unders. I don't like them. And that's why I'm almost exclusively overs in all sports with totals. So there's your answer. All right, next up, we've got Boston and Chicago. This is TNT, the first of a doubleheader there. Bruins minus 150, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. You look at this matchup here, Bruins and Blackhawks. Bruins off a nice overtime win last night against Detroit. Certainly from a scheduling standpoint, you're off that overtime win. Extend yourself just a little bit by playing the extra session. Now you go on the road back-to-back. 3rd game in 4 nights as well for the Bruins. Meanwhile, you've got Chicago. They're also on a 3rd game in 4 nights, but they had the rest last night. It's not the back-to-back for them. They've lost 3 in a row against Minnesota, Columbus, and Toronto. We'll see how they fare here in this matchup against the Boston Bruins. When I look at this game here with Boston and Chicago, you've seen these two teams play twice last year, both times early in the season. Boston won both games, collective score of 6-1 over the Chicago Blackhawks, both games staying under. 2 years ago, it was a split, and Chicago did win at home 6-3. We'll see how this game plays out. We've got Peter Mrazek confirmed in net. He had been playing well until the game against Columbus. I don't think it was one of his better games, even though the team didn't play great defensively either. Jeremy Swayman should be in net for Boston. We got Korpisalo last night, so we should probably see Swayman here tonight for the Boston Bruins on the back-to-back. Keep in mind, Chicago still has played recently, at least, some competitive hockey at home. They got a win and beaten actually some good teams at home. Beat Minnesota in overtime on home ice. Beat Florida 3-1 a couple weeks ago at home. Beat Dallas last week 6-2 on home ice. So really, they had been stringing together some better performances at the United Center until that game against Columbus on Sunday afternoon, where they didn't play great. So I like Chicago here. I'm going to take a shot, plus 130. Still don't love trusting Boston here as far as laying a price. And last night, if you did take Boston, great, you get the money. But That's another reason why I didn't like Boston last night, why I took a shot with Detroit, because even if Boston wins, you're going to be biting your fingernails and you're going to be, sitting on the edge of your seat sweating it out because they don't win easily. They don't do anything easily right now for this Boston Bruins team. So, at a home dog price, Boston on the back-to-back, rest advantage for Chicago. I'll take Chicago plus 130. Not a bet I love, but there's nothing really I love tonight on this board. Overall. But I still think Chicago in this spot at this price worth a look, plus 130 here in this game. Original 6 game, maybe to get them fired up a little bit. As far as the props, and I want to point out with that Toronto loss on the back-to-back on Monday, Chicago actually carried the play for a decent amount. Stolarz was really good. Like, there were times Chicago had Toronto swarmed in the defensive zone, played a decent game there. So I thought they worked hard, but power play was terrible and not enough finish. And that's why they lost that game to the Leafs on Monday night. As far as props go for this game, that Donato, Kurashev, Teravainen line seems to have some chemistry. I just noticed that the last couple. So maybe you can look in that direction for one of those three as far as props go. For the Boston Bruins, we look at probably still value on Geeky, as far as props continues to be up on the top line. But like I said, Chicago would be the look here for me in this game tonight. 5.5, the total. I could actually lean over a little bit here in this game because, we've seen Chicago on home ice in particular play a little bit more open, score a few more goals. That's where the majority of their damage has been done. And a lot of their power play success, and prior to the Toronto game, their power play was playing better. 5 power play goals in 3 games. They played a 6-3 game with Columbus over the total at home. 6-2 game with Dallas that they won, went over the total. So there was a couple, and since they've had this little, it was really what started with the Dallas game where the offenses started, and the power play in particular started to pick things up. And that's been key. Now, the Bruins, the one thing they've rectified for the most part since Sacco has been at the helm is their penalty kill. They've only given up 1 power play goal since Sacco has been behind the bench. So I might sprinkle on over 5.5 here as well, along with that Chicago bet. But like I said, light opinions here, lighter bets for this entire slate. All right, Dallas and Los Angeles. We've got the Stars minus 115 road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Obviously, the big news is very disheartening for Dallas and for their fans, and that's Tyler Seguin. He's going to undergo surgery and be out for at least 4 to 6 months. Very disappointing when you look at it for a guy that's been playing very well this year for the Dallas Stars. He will repair the left side of his femoral acetabular impingement, left side hip labrum, and he'll be out for 4 to 6 months. And that's basically, if you do the math, it's going to take you until at least April the 4th. That's 4 months right there. Now, the playoffs are going to begin to the latter part of April. So you're talking 4.5 months when the Stanley Cup playoffs begin. So if Seguin has a quicker than anticipated, or at least on the quicker end of that timeline, of that 4 to 6 months timeline, then there's a chance he is going to be out until he'll be out he's going to be out for the rest of the regular season. I don't doubt that. But with the playoffs starting late April, he is going to be out for, that's 4.5 months, and they say 4 to 6 months. So if his recovery is faster, maybe a little quicker than they hope, he could be back for the first round. Certainly could be back for the second round if for Dallas, assuming they get that far, which of course they have the possibility to do that. But nevertheless, it's very unfortunate. But what I would expect is Dallas to take the Tampa Bay Vegas tact, put him on LTIR, and now it opens up the possibility for Jim Nill to improve this team and make improvements going into the playoffs at the trade deadline if he wants to. So that's probably the move they're going to make. It's unfortunate, again, with the way the season's gone for him, especially with that great chemistry he and Marchment and Duchesne have had for this hockey team. But you move on. You have to. There's no other option. David Riddick will get the start for the Kings. We do expect Jake Ottinger tonight for the Stars, but it's not confirmed as of yet. We'll see how this one plays out. But, definitely an unfortunate bit of news for Dallas. But, hey, you got to move on. They do have depth. That's one of the strong suits of this team as far as the forward group. They do have a lot of quality depth there. They've owned this series, 4 straight wins over the LA Kings. You got LA feeling good about wins against Ottawa, Winnipeg, and Anaheim going into this game. But let's be honest, here we go again. I've got to criticize some of these LA wins. Winnipeg 4-1, they're struggling. Anaheim 2-1, Ottawa 5-2, same thing. You know, the wins aren't spectacular. And then the wins before that were Seattle, Detroit, Columbus. You know, it's not exactly a who's who of great quality victories lately for the LA Kings at the moment. So I think Dallas still the better team. And without Seguin, you know, first game after this Seguin news, you know how that often works. We step up collectively. We pull up our bootstraps and we find a way to get a victory, basically. So we'll see how it plays out. I think this is absolutely a dirt cheap price on the Dallas Stars. So I'm comfortable taking them here, minus 115 as slight road favorites here tonight against the Los Angeles Kings. I'm going to go back to the well as well with the first period over on Dallas. The 7-game streak of first period overs for Dallas came to an end the other night against Utah, but still 7-1 in their last 8 games, rather, as far as the first period over is concerned. And I think we could see something similar here, but just the first period over, because we do have a series history where 5 straight games between these teams has stayed under the total. So first period over does make sense. I also want to point out that the last meeting between these teams in Dallas last year, it was a first period over. And the first period over in a lot of these games that has stayed under has cashed. I'm looking at these last 5 unders. 3 of the 5 games have actually gone over in the first period. 3 of the last 5 meetings, even though all 5 have stayed under, 3 of the last 5 have gone over in the first period. So yeah, first period over, Dallas money line is what I'm looking at here. As far as props, you talked about Marchment quite a bit, and how that line is going to be rejigged now moving forward by Pete DeBoer is going to be interesting, but it looks like right now it's going to be Marchment, Duchesne, and Logan Stankoven. It's going to get that Tyler Seguin spot on the second line. They're going to keep Johnston, Hintz, and Robertson together. Ben Steele and Dodonov on the third line. Oscar Back, Maverick Bork, Colin Blackwell on the fourth line. So that's the way the forward group is going to look, it looks like, for the Stars going into tonight. So, like I said, Dallas is just, I think, still a better team. I mean, I'm a little surprised they're this cheap, quite honestly. This is a good spot for them here, minus 115. Good price anyway, going into this game against the LA Kings. And like I said, first period over here as well. Yeah, that's a great angle too. Jason Robertson with the from LA. It's kind of what we talked about too. I remember we did this with Nick Robertson too for Toronto when they went and played out in LA last week. So we'll see how this one plays out. Yeah, big rest advantage for Kings, no doubt. Like I said, this with the Kings form right now and the wins they've had, I don't think they've been all of quality. They've not matched up well with the Stars. So price is cheap enough for me here to take Dallas. If Dallas was laying minus 140 or minus 150, I'd pass easily at that price. But going to give me minus 115 here with Dallas. Pretty cheap when all things considered. I'll jump in on it. All right, final game, Vegas and Anaheim. We've got the Vegas Golden Knights minus 160, road favorites, 6.5 the total. Vegas 1-0 Snorefest last night. Unfortunately, that was a game I was really excited to watch and look forward to, and it was not the greatest hockey game. Let's put it that way. But for Vegas, it was a great hockey game because they get the win, and they get a shutout win. 1-0 last night over the Edmonton Oilers. It looks like we're going to see John Gibson in net here for the Anaheim Ducks tonight. Of course, lately they've been going quite a bit with Lukas Dostal, although we have seen Gibson now start against the Kings and the Kraken recently. His numbers overall in the season, not bad. 4-1, 2.49 goals against average, .916 save percentage for John Gibson going into this outing. So it's definitely been better than we've seen in recent years. Will that continue? Remains to be seen. On the Vegas side of the equation, still some injuries on the blue line. Ben Hutton, Zach Whitecloud, Mark Stone, of course, still out, although they've been able to still win games with him out. They get the 1-0 victory last night against the Edmonton Oilers. Back-to-back, Ilya Samsonov probably gets the nod here because of it being a back-to-back situation. A guy that had played pretty well this year for the Golden Knights for the most part until that last game, which was just an utter abomination for Ilya Samsonov. And we've seen a handful of these going back to when he was with the Leafs, these Ilya Samsonov disaster starts. And, he had one of those. That's the first time he's had one of those with Vegas. But there's no doubt that brought back memories for Leafs fans of what they saw at times last year from Ilya Samsonov, because when he doesn't have his game, it gets ugly pretty quickly. And that's exactly what happened to Samsonov against Utah on Saturday night. And he gives up 6 goals on just 28 shots in that 6-0 loss to the Utah Hockey Club. So this will be, we think, his first start, although it hasn't been confirmed yet. He'll be looking to bounce back here. Vegas back-to-back, Anaheim rest advantage. Is Anaheim good enough to maybe beat Vegas in this spot? Well, if you look at series history, Ducks are actually 3-2 against the Golden Knights the last 5 meetings, and they've won 2 of 3 here at the Honda Center against Vegas. 4-2 last year, November the 5th. 5-2 last year, December the 27th. Then they met earlier this year in Anaheim. And to be honest with you, 3-2 Vegas. It was a competitive game, and it was not easy for the Vegas Golden Knights going into this one. So, I kind of lean to Anaheim. I think I prefer Anaheim team total a little bit here, over 2.5. Let's give Vegas credit if they play that same defensive game they did against Edmonton last night, and they bring that same level of D here tonight. Maybe Anaheim won't score 3 goals in this game, but you're looking at a Ducks team that, got a 4-3 shootout win against Ottawa, that if you look at their offensive game, they have actually scored 3 goals or more, this Anaheim Ducks team, in 5 of their last 8 games. So again, 5 of the last 8, this is a team that has scored at least 3 goals. So like I said, I think the Anaheim team total, I'm interested in that here with the over 2.5, minus 140. I also like this. I like the over by Fecta here, but I like the first period over more. Anaheim has definitely been a good first period over team of late. We've talked about this. Anyone that's been looking at the Chris Otto totals charts, and he does a great job with that. Anaheim is 8-2 to the first period over in their last 10 games. Now, if this was a game in Vegas where they've been really strong to the first period over at home, not as strong on the road, but if this was in Vegas, I'd really like this first period over. But I still like it enough to take it. Again, 8-2 to the first period over for the Anaheim Ducks in their last 10 games. So first period over, full game over. Definitely like the first period over more. So we'll have more of the percentage of the bet on that part of the bifecta. And I'm going to take a shot with Anaheim team total here, over 2.5 tonight in this one. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Appreciate it very much. And again, we're excited about the next betcast as well. Make sure you set your calendars. Make sure you are here for it, because it's our last betcast of 2024. Next Tuesday, December the 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Again, we're very much looking forward to this next Ice Guys live betcast, final one of the year, next Tuesday, December 10th, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Watching the games, live bets. Hopefully the live betting results are as good as the last betcast we had in November. If so, it's going to be a great night. And of course, very much a bar and a pub vibe, just drinking, watching the games, and placing some live bets. Tons of fun. So again, make sure you join us for the Ice Guys live betcast, our final one for the year, next Tuesday, December 10th. DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast if you'd like one. And again, also, make sure you're signed up and subscribed as a Patreon member. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. Again, goalie charts, totals charts every day. Sides, totals, player props every single day posted on the Patreon page for me, Alex, and any guests. So make sure you sign up, $10 per month, and that subscription goes a long way to supporting the show and making sure we stay on the air and keep this show rolling for years and maybe even decades to come. And yes, as I've mentioned before, we do think we can keep this show going for years, if not decades further. That's our goal. But your support on Patreon sure helps that out. Our drive for 200 Patreon members is alive. So make sure you sign up, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. And also check out the Ice Guys store as well. Get your gear and your merch just in time for the Christmas holidays. Don't hesitate either. You want to get on board right now and get your merch, get your gear right now before the Christmas holidays arrive. The iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Make sure you check it out right there and get on board with some Ice Guys merch. Now's the time because it'll be Christmas before you know it. So again, check out the Ice Guys store and all the great gear, all the great merchandise there at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Manscaped, Power Play Sportsbook, Raise Your Game, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to everyone in the chat, and also shout out to Boston Hemp Inc., our great sponsors daily on the show, and our BetCast sponsor as well. 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, Matt Robinson, you don't like hot dog and fries? It's a great combo. I wouldn't have it every day, but it's especially in the summertime, it's good, especially at a baseball game. But that's another story. Great stuff, guys. Appreciate it. And like I say, thank you for putting up with me when I'm on my own like this. All right, we got bargain bin special of the night for this Wednesday. Of course, we got one of the two, which means profit. You know, that's the great thing about the bargain bin specials and the prices we get with them, that as long as one of them hits, you're going to make money. And that's exactly what we did last night with Dylan Holloway for the St. Louis Blues, getting it done for us as far as a bargain bin special of the night last night. As far as bargain bins, I want to relay as well. Alex, even though he's not on the show, he did pass along his bargain bin special. I agree with it. Nick Foligno, who did spend some time in the Boston Bruins organization, and we know he's been a pretty solid, offensive catalyst at times for this Blackhawks team as a captain. Plus 450 for Nick Foligno, the captain, to find the back of actually plus 470 is out there at FanDuel. That is Alex B. Smith's bargain bin special of the night for this Wednesday card. We've got plus 470 for Nick Foligno for Alex B. Smith with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, I like his game. He goes to the front of the net, stick on the ice with the kind of goal he scored the other night against Chicago for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm taking Fraser Minten, plus 575, the best price for him right now. Not the best night for goal props, in my opinion, or bargain bin choices, but I really do like that one for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I like his game, the way he's going. He's found some chemistry on the line that he's with right now for the Leafs. Even though it's the third line, Robertson, Minten, and Lorentz, man, they have been a hard-working line. They put themselves in position to get scoring chances, including Minten himself. So Fraser Minten for me, plus 575 for Toronto. That will be my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this card. Let's go to Dallas, LA. Let's go to that first period over. I like Dallas too, but I like that first period over in particular. I could see maybe LA potting one early. The Kings did get on the board quickly at home against Ottawa on Saturday night. They're at home. They do have the rest advantage. So I could see this being some kind of a 1-1 2-1 type of first period. And again, even though 5 straight meetings have gone under for the full game between these two teams, 3 of those 5 games have actually gone over in the first period. So that's what we'll look at here tonight. Dallas, LA, over 1.5, minus 114 in the first period. That is going to be my best bet here for this Wednesday, this short Wednesday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. By the way, still 7-1 to the first period over for the Dallas Stars in their last 8 games as well. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, appreciate all the support. And again, Betcast next Tuesday. One more reminder about that. Looking forward to it. Our final Ice Guys Live Betcast of 2024 coming your way next Tuesday, December the 10th, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Let me just quickly look ahead to see what kind of schedule of games we have for next Tuesday. I think I looked at it once, and it looked like it was a pretty good slate overall. Yeah, it's pretty good. Maple Leafs at Devils, Avalanche at Penguins, Sharks at Hurricanes, Flyers at Blue Jackets, Kings at Islanders, Flames Predators, Bruins Jets, Lightning Oilers. That's a good one. Wild Utah, Blues Canucks, Panthers and Kraken. Panthers on the West Coast in Seattle, a late night on Tuesday. So those are the games for the Tuesday slate next week. Looking forward to that Betcast. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Tuesday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Wednesday. Or sorry, it's not Tuesday night. It's Wednesday night. Jeez, that's how busy I am. Forget what day it is. Wednesday night. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll be back tomorrow on Thursday for another edition of the Ice Guys.